So let's talk about the most likely cause of probably over 80% of all your technical errors and misses in the snatch and clean and jerk lifts. Now, a lot of times people are thinking about the end in mind or the big picture or their triple extension, their explosion point, finishing the lift. That's kind of where everyone early on is thinking about the whole lift, and they're kind of ahead of themselves or cart before the horse mentally where they should be in their focus point for the actual lift. And the heavier loads get, the more you really got to respect this position. So go ahead and think what it might be for you for a second and see if you can really figure this out. It's really simple actually. Now it comes down to the start position. So in the snatch and clean and jerk, something so simple as getting down and getting to the appropriate start position to lift the bar off the floor is probably the most important thing you do for the lift. The triple extension or explosion point at the top of the lift is actually the easiest part of the whole Olympic lift. Being able to put vertical force and trajectory into the bar or that kind of jumping action at the top is very easy, and most all people can do that already. Everyone basically knows how to jump and do those things, but getting in the right coordination and position to get there is actually where all the difficulties are. So doing the appropriate S-curve sort of pull from the ground up to getting to that point is the difficulty, and then being in the right balance and position, center of gravity, all those things to actually receive the bar. So look at any world-class lifter, look on YouTube, find lifters that look like you in terms of their limb lengths and their certain mechanics or technique. Are they your height? Are they in your weight class? And see how they get into that position. There's a lot of interesting things to see there. And there's different methodology and ways of doing these things across the world, but find the world champions, look at some of the best in the business and see how they're actually doing things. You might find a lot of contradictions from expert to expert there. It's a lot of fun to see that. Now, the most important things here is that you get the right footing for your pull position off the floor. So what's the strongest pulling position in base of support for you to put your feet through the ground, feel strong off the ground, to be able to push your feet sort of through the ground and have that strong stance to pull off the floor. Typically this is about a hip width position or sort of your jumping stance at first. And then from there, making sure the bar's close to the body. Most world-class lifters actually have the bar pretty close to their shins. You don't have to grind and slide up your shins at all, but keeping it close. Too far away from the shins will cause you to fall forward and bring that S pull and the bar path too much forward to the anterior side of your body, causing you to miss forward. Likewise, the heavier the bar is, the more it's going to be pulling you forward, so you don't really need to accentuate that process. So at first I would keep the bar close and almost feeling it on your shins. Helps to wear pants or long socks to kind of feel to kind of keep you from scratching up your shins and things like that. But at first you want to learn how to keep the bar almost at one with your body so you can keep it close and tight. That's one of the most important things you can learn to do early on in your lifts. But as you get your feet in the right position, then it helps to really veer your knees out or sort of abduct them out to the side actually. So if you're too linear or too neutral with your legs, it's going to increase the angle of the shin or the tibia forward, and it's going to cause you to have to loop the bar around your shins to clear the knees in order to get into the power position and get your final extension of the second pull. So to make it easier in a tighter transition off the floor, especially with heavy loads, you want to actually bring the bar back off the floor and clear the knees, and you actually have to get more of a vertical shin. But an easier way to fix that action to get tighter with the bar is if you veer your knees out to the side. I look at it as almost a diamond position from ankles, knees to hips, to where it goes ankles, knees, hips here, and your knees are out to the side, and then you can actually bring the bar closer to your midline center of gravity of the body. So it's not so far out in front of you, and you don't have to hump over to kind of get it around the knees. So whatever that looks like for your height, your limb lengths, the length of your shin to your femur and your torso angle, everyone's going to fit in there in different sort of capacities. But after you get those two basic things down, you have to make sure you can get your back into a steel spine, neutral to slightly athletic neutral is what I like to think of. Your spine has to be in extension from lumbar to kind of thoracic, almost cervical vertebrae even. Neutral, textbook neutral is not exactly what this looks like. You want to, of course, keep a nice solid neutral spine, but the heavier the load gets, there's going to be some, in the lordotic area of the spine, there's going to be there's a natural curvature there, and the number one rule is you got to keep that there or you're going to hurt yourself. For one, it's safety. Number two, it's optimization. Three, it's a strength leak. So you're going to have the looser you are in certain positions and the more flimsy they are, the less they are able to transfer power from the floor into the hips, into the barbell to actually complete the lift. So it's safety, it's strength, it's proper technique, and the best for power output altogether. So you need to keep that curvature, and I really like to use that diaphragmatic breathing around the abdomen, so where you're expanding out your waist all the way around 360 degrees around, and you can hold pressure and air to the belly there, and that's going to keep that position braced in the center of your body. So it's going to keep your curvature in the low back, it's going to keep everything strong and stable in the torso, so you have no technical breakdown. If that gets loose at all, everything starts manifesting and snowballing from that point forward with further error. So you may feel like it's something going on in your second pull, or your center of gravity's off, or 1,000 other problems are occurring that you're thinking about. When it all came down to you actually lost position off the floor, your center of gravity may have gotten forward early because you were in a soft position. Your hips may have been too high, your chest may have been too far over the bar, you may have been looking down at the floor, you may have been soft in the shoulders, you may have tightened everything up correctly, but one little thing was off, and that will really cascade and have a rippling effect to several other problems further down the line of the pull. And it just manifests into bigger problems. And you may have a problem jumping forward, jumping too far backward, arm pulling, donkey kicking, things of that nature. But it's a compensation from what happened off the first lift off the floor. So you were right off position immediately, and so you end up compensating later down the road in the pull. So really consider that and think about really mastering your start position there. Getting locked in and tight, getting the appropriate amount of air and pressure into your body, keeping your chest up. I really like the idea of thinking about putting the chest or sternum sort of on the ceiling, so really getting that chest upright, standing as tall and vertical as you can, sort of in that start position. And things change from there. As you lift the bar up to the floor, the shins will become vertical, and at the knees, that depending on the lifter's height, that will determine how high the hips will ultimately be. You don't have to really force that off the floor. You just basically want to get into a strong, tight position there and not make mistakes and stay tight. As you get to the knee, you'll have the appropriate amount of hip elevation to chest being over the bar and things like that, and that all has to do with where your grip is and how your limb lengths all fit together. From there, your job is simply to get the bar to the power position. So in the snatch, it would be to the crease of the hips, and the clean it would be about mid-thigh. And from there, the easy part happens where you simply extend, or jump, or you pull under, however you like to think of that second pull, into the third pull where you pull yourself under the bar. That's the easy job, but getting there is the difficult task. So be patient. Build speed slowly off the ground. So slow and strong off the floor, build speed as you go, and earn that speed and power. You'll have a much tighter, more controlled lift, and those are the lifts that feel more efficient and easy when you don't feel like you got as aroused and psyched up, but you simply kept better position, and therefore you're more optimal in your positions and develop more leverage, and are able to get more force on the barbell. So that's what happens when you see guys making it look easy, and you're like, what the hell are they doing? What am I missing here? And it's simply getting in a proper start position and maintaining that position nice and rigid all the way through the lift. The second something unfolds, no matter where in the lift, things again cascade into other problems and manifest in a million different ways. So early on, you don't have the real capacity to think with this. As a lifter, it happens so fast, and there's so many things you're trying to learn and master and feel out, that trying to analyze this to death and overthink certain things are really crippling, and you're thinking about the wrong thing. Get your positions locked in tight. Be tight off the start position, maintain that position until you get to the power position, and let that be an automatic reaction as you finish the lift. So lock that in tight. Quick review. Get the proper stance first with your feet in that jumping pulling stance, center of gravity, not too far forward into the toes, preferably in a flat foot or back towards the heel. Knees are abducted out into that V position, back is extended and tight, air into the belly, chest, chin, and eyes are up, so either looking forward down the horizon in a neutral position, but what a lot of lifters like to do is actually look a bit up, say 45 degrees or more into the sky. It's just like running through a finish line. You kind of want to look where you're going. So in the lift, we're going up. So from there, make sure you're not hyperextended the neck or anything like that. But you look again, if you look at a lot of world-class lifters, their chins are actually up a bit, and it helps lock in some thoracic extension, shoulders back and down real nice and tight, and it really solidifies that. So see the parallels there in lifters. When you see in their pull position, especially, that chin is up and the chest is big and inflated and stretched out. So especially in the Asian lifters and the Chinese lifters, they're dominating the world and have the most world records in the men and women collectively in the world right now, and they all have got that chin way high, hips down, back extended and flat. So success leaves cues, and make sure you see that, and make sure you don't have things falling down, shoulders rolling in, and having a bad position there. So so many things can happen with just such a simple concept of maximizing and solidifying your start position. Good luck with that.